palm reading of a 28-year-old person. He'll be giving his reading, and I would be answering basic questions regarding health, wealth. These are the things we would be talking about. This is just a sample reading. And before I start, I would request you to press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. To get a reading from me, you can call me or you can email me. These are the phone number and the email that are mentioned out here. Now we straight away head to this particular hand image that we have. Right now we have in front of us the left hand image. Generally, it is said that we should take a look at the right hand and not the left hand. But in my case, what I do is I take a look at both the hands to come to the final conclusion. So both hands are important. Right hand is more important because that is the active hand, but it is not like that both hands are completely different. So I'll just talk about the prominent points that I see on this particular palm, the left hand. On the left hand, what we find is that two mounts are appearing to be most prominent. The Jupiter mount, this is the Jupiter mount, and the mount of Mercury. Why we say it's prominent? Because this area appears to be padded. It is padded, and it is also padded out here. In most people cases, this area, the area of Mount of Venus, is the most padded area. But you don't find padding under the fingers. It is a rare sign. And it is also a good sign to have a padding under the fingers. You don't need to have a padding under the Saturn finger because Saturn is a finger for, see, Saturn is a finger of money, possessions, and wealth. And too much of a particular amount, too much padding over it goes in a negative. So it's better not to, nor should it be depressed also. So it's not depressed, nor is it padded. So the first mount that appears to be padded is the area of Jupiter. Jupiter is the area of administration, religion, politics, and honor. So these qualities are there in abundance in this particular person. The person knows how to govern, the person knows how to organize things. So those are the positive aspects this particular person has. So, these qualities remain for throughout the life. It is not there for only one particular year or two particular years. It is for throughout the life. The person would always be wanting to reach up to a higher position. So the person is going to be working towards the higher position. The second area is the Mount of Mercury. Mount of Mercury, whenever well padded, the Mount of Mercury is the area for calculations and communication. This is also the area of maths, statistics, it's biology, chemistry, all kind of skills. So this area, whenever padded, is considered to be good. What it does is that it brings in much better memory. The memory of this particular person becomes much more, and it is a storehouse of memory. So a storehouse of memory can be used at any time. So in that way, it is good. And people who have these prominent, well-padded area of Mount of Mercury generally do very good in their life because of their skill and because of their memory. See, this is the line of money, possessions, and wealth. Don't think that it tells everything about the money part. It can tell only 10-15% of how much money the person is going to be having. So it's basically all over the palm. We have to look at signs. We have to look at how good the mounts are, how good the lines are, and if there are any special sign. Only then the effectiveness of the money line grows. It becomes better. So we have to look at all the aspects and then come to the conclusion. So the area appears to be padded, and apart from that, there appears to be perpendicular lines under the finger of Mercury. Perpendicular lines are the lines of skill. It basically, what it does is it increases the skills and the person is sharpening their skills. Although these lines could have been much more deeper, deeper lines are considered to be better, considered to be light lines. Light and dim lines means that the person needs to sharpen their skills further. Only then they are going to be much more successful. See, now we move on to the other aspect, that is the headline. The headline in the initial year, this is the initial years of the headline. This is the initial year, this is the age 35, the intersection of the money and headline is age 35, and this portion is after the age of 35. So you would notice on this particular portion, right now, I will just remind you once more, the person is approximately 28 years old. So we would try to look at this particular aspect, this particular portion of the headline, how the headline is faring during this particular portion of the life. It appears to be cut at some point, so cutting of the headline is not generally considered to be too good. Backward movement of the headline towards the Mount of Mars is also a little bit negative because, and this is happening somewhere at the age of approximately 30 to 32. 30 years to 32. So that's when anger and aggression creeps in and the chances of making wrong decisions increases. So the person needs to be, and it has something to do with fire. It has something to do with court case or something to do with anger and aggression. So it could be purely anger and aggression. It could be dealing with the law, facing the law, or something like this. So, but at the same time, we would look at the other portions of the other line as well. So this is the line of life, and on the line of this is the early portion of the life. This is somewhere in the 30s, and this is around 50s and 60s. That's the approximate age. So this portion, you would notice that there's an island-like formation. Island-like formation on the lifeline is also a little bit negative sign. What it does is that it brings in elongated periods of physical problems, physical ailments, or something like that. So, or something physical issues. So, this portion of the life, the person needs to be a little bit careful. Now we move on to the other portion, that is this portion. This is the area of Mount of Venus. Venus is the area of your desires. This is the area of your sexuality, and this is also the area of your fuel and energy and stamina and vitality. So a person who has few horizontal lines over out here, these are horizontal lines, few of them are touching the line of life. The ones that touch the lifeline are a little bit negative. What it does is it is kind of, you are traveling in a car. This is lifeline is the car, and there's a cycle or a scooter or a car or something like, it is coming and touching your lifeline. So it is touching your car. So what's going to happen? A stronger line, when there's an impact, makes a big dent, and a small, something like a cycle would make a small dent. So and see, stronger lines would bring in more trouble. But at the same time, even if they don't touch these horizontal lines, what they do is that they, such a person, the chances increase that the person would waste his energy, because this is the area of energy. The chances of wasting his energies increases. So I would advise to this particular person is that we try to conserve your fuel. Only use your fuel where it is required. So misusing of your fuel or misusing of your energy is a negative sign. You should not do that. Now we come to the money line. This is basically the money line. Money line is originating on the Mount of Moon. Moon is the area of travel. This is also the benefits coming to this particular person from foreign countries or female, something like this. A trading activity or service industry related work is going to suit this particular person. Now we move to the other aspect, that is the heart line. This is the heart line. Now the heart line, you would notice that the heart line is a little bit unclear. This is the heart line coming out here. Then there's another line. Then new line basically joins it, and there's a branch-like formation. Again a branch, again a branch. So there are numerous branches that you see. Then there's a break, and then there's a new line. And then there's again a new line. So this portion, you would notice that the line of heart is a little bit unclear. So what it would do is that it would bring in anxiety, it would bring in stress. All these things would come to this particular person. So the person needs to focus his energy. These branches that you see, this basically means that the person is flirting with either relationship or flirting with your work. Do not think that the heartline just tells about your relationship and your love life. It can also tell about your work life. So this is the most important line, even much more important than your money line. So that is the reason why I would say that my suggestion to this particular person would be try to focus, try not to get distracted, try to remain committed. Uh, See, what's going to happen is that there's a business cycle. There are ups and downs, ups and downs. So ups everybody enjoys, but when there's a down, the people basically run away from, move away from the field of work they are actually doing. So I would advise that this particular person to remain committed to whatever they are doing. Do not fall for temptation. Do not move on to different work. Try to remain in one particular profession only. You can change your company, but not your profession. So this is what it means. And you notice that the heartline is also coming and touching the headline. So touching of the headline from a branch on the from the heartline is a little bit negative. What it does, it brings in misplaced affection. The person is affectionate to somebody who he shouldn't be affectionate to. The person has got misplaced affection, like being affectionate to somebody who is not worth this particular person's affection, or giving time, energy, effort to affections where we would not get any result. So my advice would be that these things try to remain focused. This is going to be my suggestion. Now the line of Mercury, the finger of Mercury is a little bit short. Whenever it touches the sunline, this is the sunline. If it touches the top line of the ring finger, this is the ring finger. So if it touches, then it is considered to be appropriate length. But because it is short, because the Mercury finger is short, what it would bring about is that it would kind of create distance between near and dear ones. So the person wouldn't be able to bridge the gap between the near and dear ones. Try to understand, I'm only talking about near and dear ones. So this is one aspect. And near and dear ones are people from family. Initially, it is parents, brother, sister, friends, and then it becomes wife, and then it becomes children. So those are the most near and dear ones. As such, the line of money is reasonably good, so there's no problem as far as the left hand goes. There are few upward lines from the headline moving towards the Mount of Jupiter. This is considered to be good because it takes a person to a higher position. These lines are the lines of honor. Jupiter being a big planet basically means the person is seeking honor. The person is basically wants expansion and wants growth in his life. So a person who wants these things would get all these things. So when the lifeline is kind of originating on the lifeline, or the headline is originating on the Mount of Jupiter, it means that the person is getting guided by Jupiter, and Jupiter is a good planet, and getting guided by Jupiter is considered to be a positive sign. Where we find that the heartline is kind of overlapping out here, there's a break, then the person would abruptly end his relationship or end his work. So these ending is considered to be a little bit negative sign. Now we move on to the right hand, the active hand. This is basically the right hand, the active hand. Now we move on to this. You would notice that the first portion we would talk about, that is the same things can be seen in the left hand also. Sorry, the right hand. These perpendicular lines can be seen. These are very positive lines. Whenever a person has got these positive lines, it's considered to be good because the person is kind of mastering his skills on a daily basis. And these lines are not crisscrossing each other, because if they were crisscrossing each other and making a horizontal kind of lines and these crisscrossing confusing kind of lines, then the person would miscommunicate and miscalculate. But in this case, there's no such thing. So just by looking at the amount of Mercury, we can say with certainty that the chances for success increases just by looking at the the lines under the amount of Mercury. Now we move to the other aspect. These upward lines, the same things get applied even in this particular hand. On the right hand, the person is seeking honor. In the right hand, the active hand, we find that those sudden breaks that we found on the left hand are not there. But yet there are lines, like the lines are running parallel for some distance, like out here, also running parallel. Then there are few branches. Even if these lines were not present, we would have said it would have been better, because if a person has got two lines running parallel close to each other, it is something like your heart is in two different boats. So being having a heart in two different boats is a little bit negative sign, because you have to remain committed to one particular boat. If you are in one boat, even in rocky waters, you're going to not feel so uncomfortable. But if you are in still waters, and you have one leg in one boat and another leg in another boat, that is a little bit negative, because what's going to happen is you're going to rock and you're likely to fall inside the lake or whatever you are in. uh, and having simple lines of heart is considered to be better than complicated kind of lines. And there's a branch kind of hanging downwards towards the headline from the heartline. This is a little bit negative. But the main line of heart is kind of ending under the mount of Saturn. This is generally considered to be good, because Saturn is the mount for money, possessions, wealth. It also is the mount for being grounded, being responsible. So people who have their heartline end under the mount of Saturn basically desire money and possessions and wealth. And the chances are that they would basically make good amount of money, because they are angling towards the amount of angling towards money. Heartline ending on the amount of Saturn basically signifies that the person desires money. The person is also responsible. So all these qualities come to this particular person, and the chances basically increase to make more money. On the headline, same indications can be seen. There's a backward kind of a line pointing towards the amount of Mars. This is a little bit negative. What it does is that anger and negation I've already talked about. There's an island-like formation on the headline somewhere close to the age of 30, 32 ending and till the age of 35. There could be few mental issues, mental problems that might come about, and the person is going to feel few problems crop up during that particular period, and it's going to remain there for 1.5 years. Beyond that, you would notice that there's an upward kind of a line from the headline moving upward towards the fingers. Upward movement of the any line basically is moving towards the sky. So it is going against the gravity. So upward lines is kind of some jubilation, something good happening, or some positive things that are happening, that is bringing success and honor and all these kind of things. Headline moving towards the amount of Mercury signifies probably also writing skills, or something to do with mental skills, or some kind of skill. The person uses that skill to better his basically life. So in that way, it is considered to be good. Now we move on to the other aspect, that is, you would notice that there's a money triangle out here. This is the line of Mercury. Even these are lines of Mercury, and this is also the line of Mercury. And some people call this as the line of health. Some people call this line as the line of liver, or so there are few different names, but I call this as the line of Mercury. See, the meaning would remain nearly the same. You call it the line of liver, Mercury, or any other thing, or the line of health. The meaning is basically same. Uh, uh, what happens is that people who have got confusing kind of lines out here, so it would bring about too much of working of the liver, or too much of working of your mind, and that basically leads to more bile getting secreted and your liver getting affected, indigestion happening and liver getting affected. So it's better to have less lines over out here compared to more lines. Simple lines is considered to be better than having too many lines. So there are few lines out here, more than one, two, or three out here. So, but as such, the lines are reasonably neat and clean. They are not broken. So if they were broken, I would have said negative, but these are reasonably okay. And so I was talking about the money triangle. So this is the line of Mercury. Mercury is for skill. Remember, this is the line of money. Money, everybody knows, is basically money. And this is the headline. Headline is your thought process, how you think. So forming money triangles is formed by these three things. So without having skills, you can't make money. So having a money triangle, something like this, is considered to be good. and good things start to happen somewhere at this particular age. So this age is approximately age the person is running in 28, roughly. There maybe a little bit earlier also, 20, it could be 27, 28, 29. That's the approximate age I would say. And money triangle, whenever it has got less lines inside the money triangle, it is considered to be good. Having less lines is always better than having more lines over the palm. And less lines basically give better result compared to more lines. Now we move on to the sun line. This is basically the sun line. The timing on the sun line, I'm just going to just draw over out here, something like this. This is the headline, and this is the line of heart. This portion is before the age of 35, this portion is 35 to 53, and this portion is 53 and beyond. So you would notice before the age of 35, you don't notice any line as such. And you might say that probably this is the line of sun, but this is a very, very weak kind of a line. It's better to have deep and clear lines instead of having weak lines, because weak lines signify doubt, self-doubt. And it is said self-doubt destroys everything, because you might have the capability, you have everything, but if self-doubt creeps in, everything is going to get destroyed, because you're not going to work for it. You are always going to be in self-doubt. So this portion, there's no line as such. Don't think that you need to have a sunline starting right from here. You don't need to have a sunline. Even absence of the sunline can also give success, but a dim line brings in doubts that I've already explained. So this portion of the line is also a little bit dim, but beyond the age of 53, you'd notice that the lines become much more deeper and clearer. So deeper and clearer lines basically signify that the chances are the person is giving more energies to his work. And because the person is more energizing his work, the chances for his success increases. So this is what basically I mean by the sunline. So you notice that the sunline is much more deeper and clearer after the age of 53. Apart from this sunline, you would notice that there's a line coming from here also, the amount of positive Mars, and there's another line coming from somewhere close to this is the money line. So this portion also. So there are two or three lines, and all of them are becoming better after the age of 53. So one more thing I need to add out here is regarding, there's a small break that you would notice that there is on the headline. This is the headline. There's a break out here. There's a line that comes somewhere out, and there's another line. So few major changes might have happened before the age of 28, and it could have been really troublesome period, mentally troublesome period, mental breakdown or something like this might have happened. Uh, so the degree we can't say, because the lines are really close by to each other. So when the lines are really close by to each other, uh, so it's for a very small period of time those problems come, and then basically they go away. So this is what it is. I would talk about the Mars area also. Mars area out here has got few parallel lines. Parallel lines are basically lines of protection, and but having less lines is always better than having more lines over it. There's a strong line coming and touching the lifeline, but it's not reaching. It's basically ending before it touches. Then there's a very weak kind of lines that are kind of touching out here. So weaker lines have got lesser impact on a person's life than stronger negative lines. So in that way, beyond the age of 35, you'd notice that the line of head becomes much more deeper and clearer. It is always better to have deeper and clearer lines, because it gives mental strength. Length of the line doesn't mean more knowledge. Length of the line is only determine how much mental boundaries we are going to create around ourselves. So those are the things it basically depicts. So this is the part. As far as the money line goes, money line starts on the Mount of Moon. This I've already talked about on the left hand, and you would notice that there's square-like formations out here as well. square-like formations, two squares. So square basically means something to do with property, property related. The person might make property on, and this is all happening after the age of 35. And there's a kind of a triangle-like formation also out here. Triangles on the money line also means property. So that's happening after the age of 53. So few good things, few good markings are also seen on the money line as well. These upward lines that you see from the lifeline, this is the lifeline, and upward line that you see from the lifeline, this is considered to be good because this is the line of luck. Some people call the sun line to be the line of luck. I don't call that as the luck line, nor do I call it as the name and fame line. Although I do not totally disagree with other people when they call it as the luck line or the name and fame line. To some extent, I do agree, but this is all to do with how much energies you are giving to your work. If you give energy, the chances for success basically increases. That's what basically it means. Absence of the line doesn't mean that no success. It doesn't mean that the person wouldn't be successful. Total absence of the sunline can also make a person world famous as well. So, so this is what it is, and I would kind of end my video out here and continue with the reading. So that's it for now. And thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, click on the like button, do subscribe. Before I end the video, I just repeat few things that I repeat in almost all my videos. We can come to know about money, possessions, wealth from any line, heart line, headline, life, sun, Mercury, Venus, any line. Importance of money line is just 15%. The other lines and other mounts basically give strength to the money line and brings in quality to the money line. So that's the reason why other areas are more important than the money line in terms of money. A saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or a palmist to know about your future because you already know your future. Present is the result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are really important. And on top of that, however your hand might be, company matters the most. If you have bad company, the chances for making wrong decisions increases and doing wrong things increases. If you are in a good company, everything negative in your palm is going to get negated because of the right guidance that you're getting from the right kind of people. You can ask any questions in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. Bye and take care.